He couldn't decide which way he wanted to propose to me, so being the weird person that he is, he decided to just do all of them.
I did for a moment think like he's either gonna mug me or marry me.
He gets down on his one knee, mind you, one is broken.
Of course she said yes, but afterwards she's like, but you didn't even ask me anything.
My boyfriend didn't propose to me once. He proposed to me 4 times. We just kind of went for a hike spontaneously, and then randomly he just turns to me and he's like, will you marry me? And I was just like, what? I forgot to say yes. That's how in shock I was. I was just staring at this ring in his hand, and I just kept saying what over and over again. It's like, are you sure? Like, really? He's the type who will like stand outside of your window with a boombox. That's what I was expecting. So I was just so thrown by this. And then he took the ring away from me. And he was like, I'm gonna propose to you again. This is just the first time. And I was like, what? I was not allowed to tell anyone that this had happened. Like, I couldn't even tell my parents. It sounds really terrible, but it was actually like really fun to have this weird secret.
I got a new job, and so I needed to fly out for 2 weeks of training in Barcelona, Spain. Side note, I used to live in Barcelona, and that's where me and my fiance had originally met. So I had a friend out there that had actually came to New York to find her wedding dress. She's like, listen, don't make plans for this Saturday. I want to thank you for helping me find the dress. That day comes. The location that we were meeting was called Bunker del Camel. It's a beautiful location in the mountains, overviewing the entire city. So there we are, we get to the mountain, park the car, had to like hike up this hill. Mind you, I'm in 6-inch heels, walking on rocks. So I start to walk up these stairs, and I look to the left, and I see someone holding flowers that looks like my fiance. His name is Kiriako. I could not even comprehend if that was even him or not, because I'm in Barcelona, I'm here for training. He's back in New York, really looks like Kiriako and is even on crutches like Kiriako. And I'm looking at him and he's like, he tells me, come over here. So I'm like, oh my God, that's Kiriako. My friend in the background, you know, screaming, her fiance's taking photos. And I'm just sitting here trying to understand how Kiriako's here. Probably took him an hour to climb this mountain up in crutches. He claims he said, will you marry me? I don't remember that. But he gets down on his one knee, mind you, one is broken, and he asks me. I said yes. Don't remember that either, but here's a photo of him on his knee. It actually took him like 5 minutes to get back up since he had one leg.
The second time it happened, we were at a Green Day concert. They played the last chord and we were all just like singing the words. So he just took the ring and shoved it right in front of my face and was like, will you marry me? And I was just like, this is amazing.
When I got engaged, I had been dating my girlfriend at the time for about 7 years. She was Greek Orthodox, and I knew she really wanted to get married in the Greek Orthodox Church. So in order for that to happen, I had my Road to Orthodoxy classes that I had to take. I actually had to physically get baptized, so I had to take a bath in olive oil. Once I was a little Greek boy, I would get my little Greek princess. I got the priest in on a lie. We convinced the rest of our family and friends that they needed to leave the chapel so the priest can say a blessing for my girlfriend and I. And he began doing the blessing, and I pulled the ring out of my pocket and held it, and once he finished his blessing, when she turned around, I was on one knee. And she, of course, freaked out and couldn't believe it was happening, but I couldn't actually bring myself to say anything. So I just sat there kind of still and was so choked up that I couldn't say anything. And while she was freaking out, I finally built up the strength to say, like, so is that a yes? And of course she said yes, but afterwards she's like, but you didn't even ask me anything. So after the baptism, we had planned a barbecue at our house. So it quickly turned from a baptismal barbecue to an engagement barbecue where we literally broke plates and took a lot of shots of ouzo and really celebrated.
So the next one, we decided to go to Diagon Alley, which is like this part of Harry Potter world. There's this big dragon that sits atop the whole like city. We're just standing there waiting for it, and then all of a sudden it like breathes fire, and right in that moment he like lifted up the ring and was like, wanna marry me? And I was like, ah, you're crazy. But that was a really cool moment.
We lived together for a few years before Alan proposed to me. It was the 13th of December, and he suggested that we do our Christmas shopping on the Upper East Side, which was a little weird because we live in Brooklyn, but what I didn't know was that Alan wanted to propose to me in Central Park because at the time my office looked over Central Park, and he thought, oh, what a nice thing for you to be able to look out and be able to see the spot where the special moment happened every day. There are so many beautiful parts of Central Park. There's ice skating rinks and beautiful bridges and sculptures and gardens, but my fiance decided to pick what I would say is perhaps the creepiest part of the park. He didn't want that moment where he got down on one knee and like a tourist would stop and be like, oh my God, he's proposing. He picked this bridge, a bridge in Central Park, but it wasn't one of the good bridges. There was like a whole bunch of trash underneath it and like dead plants, and it was a dead end. And he kept saying like, oh, we can walk underneath that to get to where we're going. I did for a moment think like he's either gonna mug me or marry me. So I like very tentatively like walked under this creepy bridge, and then I turned around and he was on one knee and he proposed. It was very, very sweet. But it was the creepiest bridge I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
So the last one, he used a drone, and there was this beautiful sunset happening at the time. And so I was watching it fly around, and it sort of circled back, and then it came over to me, and right as it was like sliding across the lake and where I was standing in this like really cinematic way, he just like got down on one knee. And I was just like, yes. Now it's official, we're engaged, we can tell people, and I was like, finally.
Here's a photo of our engagement photos that we did in Florida. You can see we did some underwater shots. Pretty much drowned for 5 hours. No one tells you that, actually. But it was very cool.